Okay, thank you for attending today's webinar. So we are going to have two presentation today, one by me and the other by Dibal Desai, the founder and CEO of the Alliance Healthcare Technology. So during the presentation, if you have any question, you can leave your question in chat. Okay, so I'm going to start my presentation first. Today's topic has several segments, and the first one that I'm going to talk about is AI and digital health for healthcare 4.0, that I mean by the next wave of healthcare. So you will have some general introduction of very grand scale of what is the healthcare ecosystem, including every system of this healthcare. And then you will explore many detailed aspects of this healthcare ecosystem to end up being the why we need some different way of the healthcare we can have. So I'm going to define as a next wave of healthcare. And I'm going to define as following the meaning of the revolution 4.0 type like healthcare 4.0. So it's a next step, next stage that we are going to build up in our society. And after this general introduction, I'm going to delve into the directly that how we can leverage LLMs, AI, for the next wave of healthcare. So I will give you much higher level explanation of the how actually LLMs can be leveraged for the next wave of healthcare. So I'm going to talk about many aspects of like how actually they can integrate the EHRs, and then how it can be integrated into the healthcare system, and then how they can be innovate many aspects of the healthcare that we have now currently to make this the current status to the next level. And then finally that we are going to look at the practical implementation of a large language model for the next wave of healthcare will be taken over by Dibar Desai. Okay, so I will start my part first. So this is the one actually that this is the background because you know like as a ChatGPT recently they upgrade as a ChatGPT-O, and then there's Omni version, and then they have a very powerful like upgrade. And then I tried it because I was not satisfied fully in the before their graphic generation. So I provide all the information about this kind of like what is the next wave of healthcare and ask it to generate. And then I end up in this figure, very complex. So AI even think of healthcare as ecosystem is very complex, even is large language model. So this is just a fun, but anyway. So ecosystem, why we start from ecosystem? Because the ecosystem is include everything we have in healthcare meaning, right? So it includes all the stakeholders, and then how they can interact, and then how they can dynamically changes, and then how they can be like organically or interact, network, and evolve. So it's kind of like a biological system, right? So they change dynamically. So whatever you think about to have a new innovation, new like a paradigm to introduce, you understand what the ecosystem means. So this is include patient and service provider, payers, and product suppliers. This is the key stakeholders, and you already know because I know that you already healthcare professionals have a multi-years of experience. So just a reminder, because we have this kind of system, and then we have a different way to actually they can interact. So we with this knowledge, then how's going on, right? Because we have this, we build up this system over 100,000 years from the human history. We build up in modern this healthcare ecosystem, and then but this is very complex system, right? And then for me, actually, I was in not in the directly healthcare system. I'm mostly in high tech industry. High tech means like you can think about like a technology company like Google, Microsoft, Samsung, or the Verizon, whatever you can think about, telecom, IT, semiconductor, digital. And then I've seen that whenever I have through this kind of different industry, actually, I look at the how their ecosystem changes, what the characteristics of the ecosystem. I found that healthcare ecosystem is particular, is somewhat different from other that I experience in high tech. So we need to understand when, for example, that recently I focused on digital healthcare, especially for the digital therapeutics. And this is a new paradigm, new system to want to put in the existing healthcare system. And then you should understand that what's the characteristic of this existing system, existing ecosystem, so that actually you can adapt. So that's the way actually that you are welcome from the existing system can be included as a mainstream of the IT system, the healthcare system, right? So that's important. And then so understanding is the healthcare ecosystem is different that I have experienced. So that means you need a different way to look at this system, and then you have some problem. You need to find out a different way to have a solution, and then you want to build up some your business model. That'll be the same way, right? So particularly I noticed was that they are not traditional like a market dynamics work, because the reason is that the stakeholders like a positioning, right? Because well, what do you mean like end user, like a final service, the like a target of the service provider is a patient, and then there are many companies actually they're working for in their value system, a value chain, and then so service provider in like a clinics or other like and other like healthcare provider. And then also there is the solution provider, technology provider, medical equipment provider, or the drug provider. They are provider side, producer side. And then also there is another one was a payer, right? Employers or the insurance system. And then they are working differently, right? So it's kind of like what I usually my background is the science. So usually I call this kind of system as a nonlinear system and complex system. And usually in physics, I did my PhD in physics, and then we call this kind of, if you have this kind of problem, that the approach is that we target this as a chaos system dynamics. So what I mean is this is complex, so it's not easy to get the right solution, but you can think about the best way to do something. And next will be so what the current ecosystem, what is the challenge, right? So without any challenge, actually, we don't need to say anything about this, because it's perfect system, it's working very well, everybody happy, right? But we still have a problem in healthcare system, especially the US healthcare system. And then particularly access, cost, quality, right? This triangle is a well-known problem. And then so I would think about that very default level, that how actually can solve this problem. As I mentioned, that my background is physics. So usually I have defined a problem and try to get the solution. And then problem solution way, I try to find a way, but this is very high level. So I can think about this kind of the innovation in healthcare infrastructure, operations, service, and strategy. You can think about some many different aspects of the solution for this one. And because I'm going to share this one, so don't worry about a lot of the text in here. So you will see detail, but I'm going to give you the essential part that I'm thinking about it. So recently, there are a lot of the approach utilizing digital technology, especially for AI. And then one particular framework that called is digital technology, that utilizing digital technology to provide in a different way to we provide before for the healthcare service. So I have something like whether they can be a solution, and I found that yes, they can be a solution. So I catalyze in like a telehealth service and mobile health application, like a remote health caring or something like that, remote monitoring. We listening that's a topic, and then there can be some problem solution for the problem of the access problem, and then in the automation for the cost challenges, and then there are many aspects like diagnostic treatment and personalization for the enhancement of the quality of cares. And then you can think about what is meant by the digital healthcare. So I categorized all the available that what you mean by the digital healthcare in like a diagnosis screening digital product and digital therapeutics and post-treatment monitoring product and product for online pharmacies and product for care support. And then this is the one for the service providers support. And then it can be I think that the power of digital healthcare is that they can also directly to interface with the patient. Here is a customers, right? So this is one power actually that they can be revolutionize traditional healthcare because of they can power the patient. Where usually the characteristic of patient is passive, they don't have any decision-making power. They are very asymmetry in the information, and all things they depending on the professionals, so they cannot expect any demand, right? So compared to the a high-tech industry, the consumers are king in their space. They drive whole the market. They driving for the market, and then they decide everything. Here is a patient is a final target, the ultimate goal that actually all this kind of healthcare ecosystem is targeting, have a goal, but unfortunately their role is very, very limited, very, very passive, and then unexpected. So this is why the healthcare system is very complex, and then providing some particular problem solution is very difficult. So I think that here is a really nice place that if you really enjoy to solve the complex problem like me, and then I found that this area is really challenging to me, and I really excited because I know about I little bit working, for example, in digital healthcare. Usually, what I mean by the wellness and you know that the wellness industry is now growing and using like a smartphone and then the wearable device to do something healthcare. That I was there before, but when I went into the more seriously about the based on usually evidence based and then more like a treatment way, and usually called like a digital therapeutics way, and then I just entered this space less than 1 year, but I really enjoy this space now. So okay, so next one will be that AI, right? So what is AI can do? So this is a summary, so you can look at it. So I don't want to talk about much because I just summarize whatever you can think about AI. But this is just kind of like a textbook level introduction. And then so I summarize everything that what is mean by I've seen that ecosystem challenges some way to solution. And then so I for as a doctor, I diagnose the current the healthcare ecosystem, especially US healthcare ecosystem. And then I found that I make some symptoms. I found some symptoms, problems, conditions, and then I found that we needed some different way, and that I call like the next wave of the healthcare. And then more systematically, I call like healthcare 4.0. And then I defined like a need to try to solve this kind of like a iron triangle and access cost equality quality problem, and then need a paradigm shift and more efficient, accessible, high quality healthcare system. And we need a like equitable and effective healthcare ecosystem, and it should be sustainable and resilience of healthcare system. So I provide some way to get there. So we need to enhance access through digital integration, cost reduction via automation and AI, improve the quality of the care with the precision medicine and patient-centered models, and sustainable healthcare ecosystem, and global health environmental adaptation, and omnipresent care. So this is one actually we can think about. In the next level of the healthcare will be with including this one, and it'll be evolved to this stage. Okay, so then I'm going to in the more deeper level, so particularly specific about how actually that we can have some solution. We can actually can try to do to get reach that this next level of the healthcare utilizing AI, particularly recently there was a popular AI they call large language model. So this is the same thing, because I try to have a good image of the like what are the elements for the next wave of healthcare, that I provide all the information to the ChatGPT, and then they provide this kind of one. Anyway, okay, so I just summarized that I this is actually the I researching. So this is one I researched over several months about that. I have come up with the idea that this is topic is very important. And then so I try to find out yeah, LMR is very important. A lot of people talk about it. And then there are a lot of the literature or the publication, and then companies like innovation talk about the LMS in healthcare. But I'm focused on whether they can be more systemically that can like enable to the changing the current healthcare system to the next level. So this is the one that I analyze, and then I just finally that categorize them what kind of like topics that actually can be like utilizing LLMs, and then if you integrate four things successfully, then it can be reached to the next wave of the healthcare. So I will look at this one by one in a very brief way. So the first one is to this EHR, because the EHR is a fundamental building block of our healthcare system, because all the data is in there now. So electronic health record is kind of like a fundamental building block of our healthcare ecosystem. So, and then I look at it, what the current status, what the challenges, and what kind of solution can be provided implementing LMS with respect to the EHRs. And then I found that EHR is have some problem, maybe hampered by several challenges with the complex of the clinical data, right? And then if you want, for example, there are several EHR vendors dominate in the US healthcare market, and then all the EHR system actually not compatible with each other, so they are not interoperable. So if you want to like integrate, then you need to some way to like to have a find out the standard way to like changing there to the standard form, usually called EHR7 and FHIR. So and then to transform this process very complicated. So there is just something that we need to do. So fortunately, and I met Davar several months ago, and then we discussed about this issue. And then, unfortunately, I found that he has already have expertise in this area. So we discussed intensively about how we can contribute this kind of like challenges to solve. And then so he will talk about more detail about this aspect. So the LMS can utilizing for overcoming these challenges. So most of the thing is to like streamline data composition and increase efficiency and accuracy, and decrease semantic understanding is very important. So they can be utilizing for the interoperability. And then another thing that I think about is kind of the in the future that actually that for the like further like advancement will be available. That's my goal with collaborated bar, that we are going to keep working on this space. And then in the practical sense, we want to provide some way to practical but the best solution for these challenges. And another topic that I want to talk about is to the how to actually can integrate EHR with LMR. So that means that the LMR can be like implement the EHR for the more enhance their their like a system. So not only that they can LMR can provide some solution that overcome the challenges the current EHR system, but also like they provide the next level EHR system integrating with the LMS. So I just capitalizing like a series data for across health system, real-time decision support, and patient-centered care model and collaboration research they can provide. Okay, and then for that I'm going to talk about later about the LML based, like a lot of the like healthcare application that currently working on and they have a very good vision. And then the fundamental building block is to how to utilize EHR. There is the basic step you can start, right? So we are very interested in the not only the EHR data, because we are very, for example, in the like digital healthcare, we utilizing a lot of the data from different data source, usually in the real time, and sensors and smartphones and other data source we want to include in some application of the LMS. So EHR data integration, real-time data integration from IoT device, and smartphone data. So we are working on this, how we can actually make this process simple and optimize and provide the best data set to be utilized in the applications. So they can, but the problem that maybe the problem over some limitation, actually the basic terminal limitation, current LMR is still not there to provide the full performance for the target application. Particularly healthcare is very, very critical about the safety and accuracy. So this is currently still bottleneck, but because the technology is evolving, and then a lot of the like smart people already working on this space. So my imagination will be this can be overcome, and then the I and Bao will also contribute some way to like improving this the current element system, and then also like a future element system. So this is where actually the Davar will cover about the in a more detail of it. And then so we need to think about like the data compliance quality, because one of the characteristics of the healthcare ecosystem is the data is a very, very critical information, but they are related to like a patient privacy and security matters. So we need to be like on ethical use. So we need to care about this one actually. So we will also cover with it later. And the one thing that directly it can interesting is to using the the every process of the year like a patient's care service, right? For example, it's a diagnostic treatment and post treatment and management of your disease, right? So this is the first priority that we can apply, and then I found the one research group that done this one, and then they found they can apply many different area of the in medical area, but particularly in oncology for the cancer treatment and neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's disease. And another thing is a mental health care is a serious problem, is a huge population under effect. So this one they found very promising, the the result to be used LML for the in the future the disease treatment and diagnosis and management. So they look at it all the and then particularly the recent news is that you see that if you look at the for example recent version of the ChatGPT O, then they are multimodal. So they can handling in the previously they can handle the only text and then some image. They can be multimodal. So they can take any kind of the data format. So this is good news that you can apply all kind of different format of data in the healthcare, and then you can utilize the data to have a good insight about this disease treatment. And then predictive care, right? So this is one, and for example, you are if you are poorly in AI side, is nothing to do with the healthcare. They will say that this is nonsense, right? The reason, if for example, the reason there are a lot of the consulting companies that provide the information about how to utilizing your generative AI. For example, that generative the LML is one of the generative AI. There are many different types of generative AI available, and then they categorize and what is the best approach, best use case for the LML is a summarization. Everybody will not deny it, right? And then they go all the I provide that the diagram later, but anyway, so and then do not use for this for the prediction. And then when I talk about predictive healthcare, right? So you should be careful about this one because what they mean by the prediction is somewhat different from in the utilizing prediction in healthcare. Then I found that the power of the LML utilizing predictive healthcare is to they're they're looking at the trajectory, right? Trajectory of the patient history, and then they expect something will happen in the future, but little bit longer than just right away. For example, I have a lot of I was like have a intensive experience utilizing deep learning and in the financial area. And then maybe more than 5 years ago, my first try was the practical stock price utilizing they call like uh the 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 using the predictive model that actually what they're doing is to provide the time sequence of data, and then what happens is just they just explorate just one time ahead of the year like previous data. So they explorate. So what they provide is like a predict one time ahead, predict one time based on your whole the previous record. But here is the difference is that they are semantically understand your data. So the difference is that they can understand your whole past trajectory and then try to understand what will be the future trajectory, right? So this is a somewhat different like extrapolation they use in the like machine learning or something like that. So that's why I found this is very powerful, right? This is like a human understanding. Like we try to understand like what will be the future with a different source process, because if in statistically what you can do is like a previous data you put it and then try to like best estimate of what just after the your timeline. But this is the one based on information they want to do insight, have what it have in the future in different options. So this is a somewhat different approach that usually the AI guys talk about prediction. So that kind of predictive analytics is well known. I'm not particularly interested in, but here is a different aspect of the prediction, and I think that this will be very popular in the future. And this is one trial at MIT, and then they tried that, and then the old trial was successful except accuracy. So the accuracy was very still is not there. Can be used in the clinical level, can be applied to patient now, but it will be very promising. And the digital twin, yeah, that one is also fascinating. I have a long time work on this way because previously I mentioned that I was in high tech industry, and particularly recent over several years that when Mark Zuckerberg talked about metaverse, I was very fascinated. I'm delving into that area, and particularly I was interested in how you connect your virtual space and real space. And one of the typical examples is a digital twin. So digital twin is like for example, digital twin of a patient is the digital twin mean many things. But anyway, if you combine like a human and the patient digital twin means that it is the digital replica of the patient. So you didn't know about all the characteristics of the patient, like all the history of the treatment, their disease history, their like a way to react to their drug treatment or whatever, right? It's all based on data, and then they mimic the patient, and then they are integrated, and then they can be interact with your dear human ultimately, and then in real-time feedback back and forth, and then whatever you do simulate using your digital tool will reflect it to you and then apply it to you. That's a goal. But I found that in that case can apply some cases. For example, that I saw the news that some surgeon actually that developed the digital twin of the patient like a heart, and they developed heart in a digital way, and then they try to do some treatment to that over that, and then they found the best way to treat your like heart disease and cardiac problem, and then they apply that, and they got the insight, and then they reapply to your patient, right? This is the idea. And then still in utilizing LMR, that is still limitation that I'm talking about. A recent trial is I found that this case was very fantastic. So the digital twin can be utilizing by the LMR. So LMR can be used to utilizing digital twin. Also, LMR can use in generation of the digital twin. So there are many different ways to develop the digital twins, but I provide some information how can you produce your digital twin of the patient. But this foresight project is that got my attention because it tried in UK, and then they utilizing 3 different hospitals EHR, the actual patient data, and then utilizing this data, and then try to find out what is the future symptom based on this. So they make a like a time like a sequence data providing. So that's why that you need to practically to do that. You need to handle that, how actually extract your EHR data in time sequence, and how can apply to LMR. That'll be the kind of practically that can be how to implement it will be covered by develop in after my talk. So through this process, actually they found that the very like for example, is 88% accuracy is still well below actually that can be applied in the actual patient. But anyway, so very fascinating, very encouraging result. But here is as a digital twin expert, this is not actually what I mean by if you are digital twin expert, this isn't actually digital twin, because it usually called this is just time sequence. Usually in the digital like twin experts, this is a digital thread, because the complete digital should be have a feedback loop to you. So not only the time sequence, actually that they can feed back to you and then reintegrate like dynamically changing between the real person and then your virtual the twin, but we don't have a yet that kind of status yet. So this is just we call this a thread. It's like a timeline digital twin model. So it's not perfect yet, but expect. I'm going to organize. I will after this webinar, I'm going to send you some invitation with my future webinar, and then one webinar topic with how to utilizing LMS, and then I'm going to talk about XR briefly in when I talk about digital healthcare, and then but how you can actually utilizing LMS and then XR for the mental health care. Another topic is this one, how to utilizing that to the digital healthcare in digital twin in healthcare. So if you're interested, you can look at it in the more deeper level this topic. And then DTX is very I know that a lot of people are interested in this topic, right? But still, I'm also have another webinar at the end of this month, and then the title is digital therapeutics ecosystem, and then I delve into this particular ecosystem, sub ecosystem of the healthcare ecosystem, very deep level, and then I found something. And then we need to something at the early stage. But anyway, because this topic is not for that. But anyway, I found that LLM will be very good for like to innovate even the DTX. And one thing that I'm really thinking about is enhanced patient interaction. Usually, if you look at the digital therapeutics, they provide us in a software app and they interact with the patient, provide some guideline, what the treatment way for them, mental the CBT or whatever. And then they have like try to interact with like a patient in a different way, some guideline instruction, and one way is utilizing chatbots. So one startup we call Vivo Chat, they have a chatbot utilizing to interact with the patient, and then I think that the LLM-based chatbot is much powerful. They understand human and human-like conversation is one of the killer applications. For example, hospital, a lot of people talk about that they can be like a patient education and then directly contact the patient and post treatment or the like a drug like adherence, something like that they can have. So this can be a good for the also in the digital therapeutics. And particularly interesting is the XR-based extended reality that you need to provide the virtual reality therapeutic mechanism. So you put in the virtual space, for example, in the mental health care, you put in the virtual space and then try to provide something that to cure your mental health state. And then they require some content like virtual content. And then now the what they're doing is currently is that they provide all kind of the like a expected scene or the feature or the image or game, and then they just replaced by the engage with the specific patient. But I think that in the future, the LMA is a part of the generative AI. They can create image or the content, multimedia. So they will dynamically in real time that adapt to your patient condition they can provide. This is a powerful that I'm also very interested in this area. And particularly that I think about the OmniCare, the only precision medicine can get available in utilizing DTX. And they can also utilizing drug discovery. I'm not going to talk about, but anyway, because they can provide a completely unknown, unexpected molecular structure for the new drug development. That's an essential part. And then digital twin can be used in it's like the beauty of this is that they can be like a very like effectively, safely can mimic you like a target patient, and then they can test your new drugs or whatever you treatment. And then recently there was a large effort for example, FDA to consider this as utilizing in digital twins your clinical trials. So I know about one startup they're desperate to talk with this is FDA. And finally, that you can see the the application you can find out. Okay, so I will start my talk and then I pass over to Debara about the practical implementation of this system. But you can share your
Thank
screen.
you. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Dr. Lee. Let me share my screen and I'll go through the high-level understanding of LLM in the healthcare. So when we started this webinar, first of all, thank you everyone for joining. And when we started, we said a next wave of healthcare or healthcare 4.0. So there are a couple of questions coming in the chat, which I will answer along the way, as well as I'll go through some of the real healthcare stories, which like where the patient actually facing the problem here in the real world. So let's go quickly about the agenda, and I'll jump onto the real life stories where it is happening in the hospital and how they cannot able to exchange the information between the multiple systems and how they do. I mean, what are the problems they're facing in the real life? So let's. I'll start with the use case here where the data from electronic health record and data from remote patient monitoring or CCM systems are not interlinked. So basically, for example, I'll use the alias name, the Dr. John is checking the patient, entering all their information in electronic health record, in their EHR, whatever the EHR systems they are using. And on the other side, the nurses are using the remote patient monitoring devices, getting the vital signs, blood pressure, activity levels, respiratory levels, weight, and all this information has put to the through remote patient monitoring devices into remote patient monitoring platform. A lot of these platforms are in the back end still not integrated correctly with EHR. What is the common problem? It's interoperability issue or choosing the common standard, or might be just understanding the data in the right way. So here is a very good use case we can talk about in the long-term healthcare, where we can integrate this electronic health record, remote patient monitoring data, CCM data in such a way that it basically improves the overall patient care. Because when currently all this information are they are stored in silos, some stored in the unstructured format, unstructured data, some stored in the actual structured format, but in the different systems, and those systems does not interact with each other. So that's where our LLM basically comes into picture. Oh, I think I'm not a full screen. Let me go and do the full screen view. Okay. So LLMs basically helps to bridge the gap between the healthcare data and actionable insights, turning complexities and challenges into opportunities. So that's a very, very high level we can use the LLM. Now, after this story, what we understand, what are the common concerns the healthcare professionals are facing? So if I'm a physician or doctor, we always have this concern like privacy concern, regulatory, health disinformation, contextual understanding. I'll explain the contextual understanding in the interoperability section in detail, but this is a very, very important thing. And a lot of the healthcare professionals are concerned about, like, if there is a non-healthcare professional handling the healthcare information, how they're going to interpret the data. There is obviously, when the AI journey started, the bias is the main problem came into picture, where the decision has been made in the past. We found a lot of bias in the data, and those decisions, those impact the actual discrimination happen while adding the information or in some way or another. I'll give the actual real life example of bias or discrimination, which can impact the LLM model training as well. So we saw the concern from the physician side. Let's see the common concern we have right now industry from the technical implementation perspective. Data quality. Data quality is obviously a concern, as I mentioned in my in the beginning, how the EHR data, remote patient monitoring data, CCM data are disconnected. and there is no common channel, or there is no interoperability understanding built up in a lot of systems. Obviously, it's improving now after the Cures Act formed, the Interoperability Cures Act came into picture. A lot of organizations started implementing the interoperability at channel. They integrated with the CMS system, they integrated with the electronic health record system, and we are moving towards the healthcare 4.0, where the technologically we can accumulate all the data from different systems, and we can use it for our LLM and train our LLM better way. So here are some technical implementation problems currently the industry are facing, where the data quality, interoperability, data normalization is another big concern. Data normalization comes into picture where when the data is getting added to the EMR or EHR, those are getting added based on the visits and vital signs, diagnosis. And when we consider this data for training the model or understanding, interpreting it, a lot of times accumulating the data between the different systems, if the patient has been moved from one hospital to another, the insurance companies has been changed over the years, the physical location changed, the symptoms changed. A lot of things matters when we do this data normalization. Security concern, skill gaps, infrastructure limitation, and so on. There is this problem which I'm mentioning here, the overfitting and underfitting, computational requirement. These are some of the issues, but how, even with these issues, how can we address these issues one by one? We will see in the next slides. Overfitting and underfitting problem are common concerns again with the AI industry, and that's not only in the healthcare, it's in all the industry where overfitting is too good to be true data, and underfitting problem where we don't know the cases. And how can we train against those cases, like a COVID suddenly came and we don't know how to train our LLM for those situations. These are some of the use cases or utilization where we can use the data from our EHR system or different system. EHR, clinical decision support, synthetic clinical trial, drug discovery, revenue cycle management, supply chain, value-based care, utilization management, fraud detection, and so on. So these are the current use cases, and some of these segments in the healthcare are already started leveraging AI ML. And we also are currently working with some of these use cases in the real life, where we are improving their LLM and started building the customized LLM for them. So what is the next wave? As Dr. Lee already explained, what is in the next wave 4.0? I just want to explain the term of more a technical way here, from the technical implementation perspective or technical, you can see from a person who can see the LLM and the future of the healthcare in the technical understanding way. So here I put the definition, but how we really reach there, how we really reach healthcare 4.0 or healthcare next wave of healthcare. So here are common things we need to understand: modularity, interconnectivity, learning and adaptability, scalability, handling the complexities, and research and innovation. So these are the 6 ways. If we follow these 6 steps properly, we can able to reach the next wave of healthcare in more successful way. So what is modularity? Whatever the modules or whatever the applications we are developing in the healthcare, even it goes with the LLM or non-LLM application, it should be modular enough so it can be plug and play with the multiple systems. Interconnectivity is same, it's more related to interoperability, but interconnecting the multiple systems together. As I mentioned, a lot of these systems like patient portal to EHR, those are the basic needs. Those are connected right now. But how they are connected? Are they connected and passing the meaningful information between the systems? RCM, revenue cycle management system, remote patient monitoring system, CCM systems. The CCM systems are giving us the personalized care plan, patient chronic conditions, and all this. Are those systems are really connected or right way with the EHR? Are we passing the information between the systems? We have to address those concerns. Learning and adaptability is an ongoing concern in healthcare. So getting the right healthcare resources who have a domain knowledge and the technical knowledge is extremely difficult. So learning and adaptability is another important thing. Scalability we are addressing a lot of scalability issues with the technology, with the cloud. But there is a scalability comes into two different ways. I mean, the technical scalability and actually the scalability from the business perspective, the application perspective. So a lot of time, the scalability or the product to market fit is very hard to find when you have a product, but the product is not used the right way. That's the way I can say. So these are some of the common thing. If we do this the right way, we can achieve a very meaningful LLM for the healthcare. So here are the different databases, the information we get when we build the LLM system. So obviously we know the EHR database provides this patient demographic information, medical histories, allergies, vital signs, laboratory information, all these things. The other healthcare data sources are claims database, laboratory database, pharmacy database. There are other social determinant of health data, wearable and remote patient monitoring data, and also creating the meaningful LLM. As I mentioned in the previous step, this meaningful 6 steps, if we divide this into small and useful business cases, meaningful deliverables, reasonable amount of time to train the model. So whenever somebody's saying, how can we find the healthcare information data? It's spread across the system. I agree. It's spread across the system. There are compliance issue when you access those data. There might be regulations. You have to sign a lot of BA documents with different organizations to get the data at one place and to combine it together. But at least within the healthcare organization, this can be achievable where all the systems are able, I mean, it can communicate with each other. And how we can communicate those systems, I'll cover in the next slides in the interoperability. Like, what is the right way to connect the system together? So these are some of the approach which I explained in the previous slides. I explained here in more detail what is the modularity, interconnectivity, learning, and adaptability. Because of the time, I'll not go much detail into it, but I'll pass the slides and we can again connect separately if anybody wants to learn into more detail. How can we achieve this? Let's understand another quick use case of in the pediatric section where how the LLM data is, how the using the LLM or connecting the systems is very important basically. So consider the example, the doctor is treating the pediatric patient or children's in multiple healthcare systems. So there is a hospital which is at multiple location, they are treating in multiple healthcare systems. The patient gets transferred from one system to another system. Many times the physician itself, they visit a multiple facilities in their career. They don't only work for one facility. They sometimes works with independent consulting and independent facilities on their own. So migrating or connecting this data between the multiple system is a common challenge. And if we try to connect without a proper protocol, it's increased the cost, compliance, and there can be a potential data breach if we don't do it the right way. So it's kind of a burden on the healthcare system itself. So again, how can we improve this thing? Again, this I'll go quickly. I explained it, how the patient demographic information and data extraction can be used in the LLM. So each of these LLM can extract the data using natural language processing, structure or unstructured data like gender, ethnicity, clinical notes from the EHR system, and it will be used in a way that it can improve the overall patient life. So basically, it will benefit to tailor the intervention, health equity, those kind of things. Population health is the same thing, where population health data can be identify the trends, risk factors, health disparities, drug interaction, medical reconciliation, where comparing the patient current medication list with their past medication list, allergies and adverse reaction, anomaly detection, personalized alerts, where other LLM, where we can consume, integrate with these systems, design the personalized alerts in the industry where it's really important, especially for the home health industry, or I would say the adult patient care industry, where they are looking for certain alerts, certain decisions in a timely manner in those industry. Vital signs, laboratory tests, procedures and treatment care plans, all these are a different way we can improve LLMs using the appropriate data and combine into the right system. So here are the common onboarding concerns when if your industry is onboarding with the LLM or never used the LLM before. These are some of the onboarding concerns they have. Getting the de-identified data is one of the concern, where how can I find the data where I cannot breach the HIPAA compliance, but I can still train my LLM model. So that is getting the de-identified data. And I'll show you one of the open source currently available where you can train your model and start with. Ethical consideration, governance and regulation, interoperability. Those are the common concerns. But here is the interoperability concern. And I want to quickly give deep dive into interoperability and give you one example before I start is. So this is the real life use case where I heard this from that education director of HL7. She and her husband are in Chicago, and her husband hospitalized in one clinic. And somehow, because of the heart attack, they have to immediately move them to the specialty care, ER. And when they are asking to transfer their previous health information, their diabetes, their blood pressure results, and all the previous records, they were facing the issue where they have to call manually to the previous clinics, get the fax it over, and then start the treatment before even getting the data. So that's the biggest concern, where we are not sending the information digitally or not in the right way from one facility to another. Even they get the information from the system, what they have to do, the new facility have to manually enter the information into their EHR. And that might be some informations are missing. Many of this information gets entered incorrectly. So those are the interoperability concerns. So I want to explain the interoperability quickly here, because in the healthcare industry, right, understanding the healthcare interoperability means everybody says connecting the system together. It is not completely true. Obviously, we have to connect the system together, but they have to understand each other. That's the main thing. So usually, or I would say interoperability is mainly divided into three parts: the technical interoperability, semantic interoperability, and the process interoperability. What is technical interoperability? Which I mentioned from the technical perspective, where you choose the right infrastructure, software protocols, exchange information. How do you exchange the information between the two systems? How they are understanding it between the two different healthcare coding systems. Semantic interoperability shows how the meaningful way you can exchange the two different coding systems together. So on the right-hand side, this image, you see the ICD-10 code for acute bronchitis is J20. But if you use the another system where they are using the SNOMED naming convention, you have to use the different code, which is 10509002. So it's when you transfer the data, the another system cannot accept the data directly. It should be ready to accept the data in the right format. And the last but not least is the process interoperability. And this is very important in the healthcare industry, because understanding the process and transferring the data at the right moment in the right trigger is very important. When we go and understand patient admission process, where I explained here, where it's admitted the patient, getting the patient onboarding and demographic information. And as soon as it gets the demographic information, it should also send the signal to the internal LIS system, where the LIS system should also onboard the patient. LIS is nothing but a laboratory information system, where the lab, all the labs should go. Again, in between, patient change their address, change their information. So patient's updated information should be sent. For example, there is a scenario here happen in one of the healthcare facility in Atlanta, where patient insurance and address has been changed but the laboratory system was keep referring to their old insurance systems, and all the claims are getting denied because of that. So this is most important piece, where once your healthcare facility, your patient portal updating the information, your LIS system should also gets updated, or your RIS system, radiology system, or all the interconnected departments should be communicate properly. So those interoperability are very important. And the healthcare segments where all these are required, I mentioned a high level, all the healthcare segments here. We can use chronic management, preventive care, pharmaceutical industries, mental health services, long-term care, rehabilitation service, home health care. All these segments required interoperability, as well as the use of EHR, remote patient monitoring data, and their healthcare information in the right way to train their LLM and onboard the LLM system. So let's start with some of the technical detail, and once I'll finish the technical detail, we can end the session. So there are few more minutes. I know we are going a little bit beyond time now, but let me quickly go through this and we'll finish the session here. So what are the important consideration when some business are onboarding the LLM? What are the things they have to consider? First of all, what is the intent of the use? Why they want to use the LLM? Because everybody in the world using the LLM, then I should be also using it? No, that's not the right approach. We have to understand the actual use case, intent of use. What is your data domain? What are the different data systems you are using? What are the ethical consideration needs to be made? What will be the accuracy and scalability of my LLM? If my LLM has been created, how accurate it will be the required? Can I work with the LLM which is only 50% accurate and I can still improve the patient care? Do I need 100% accurate LLM for my patient care? So those are certain things we also consider. The other things are cloud and on-prem budgeting. Obviously, if there are certain budgets should be allocated for your IT and LLM work. And developing the LLM project is obviously you have to think in a future that you will always get a gain 1 year, 5 years from now. You don't see the immediate gain in 1 or 2 months when you are building an LLM-based system. These are some of the open source LLM models which we work with and which is available, easy to consume if you want to onboard your LLM system. MedPrompt 2 is LLM Hippocratic AI. Everybody is famous for Hippocratic AI and getting onboarded and starting their LLM, building their LLM based on this. So what is this open source LLM actually? And why really want to start with this? Someone, I think, asked the question in a chat, how can we get this LLM data? How can we create a token? How can we generate my initial system? So if you don't have an initial system ready, I will always recommend to start with the existing open source LLM model. That will give you a quicker results in the beginning. And then slowly you can customize this LLM for your own business use cases. Getting de-identified data. So try this website, EHR Short. They have providing de-identified patient record. I think this is designed based out of Stanford Hospital. They de-identified the patient record. Almost 6,739 patients records are available, and they already tested against this almost 4 billion patient clinical events, and almost 9,23,000 patient visits. All these things are already available. So whenever we onboard someone, we ask them, try this out. EHR Short is one of the good starting point to get a de-identified information. Obviously, the technical implementation goes when we do for some of the client on our own, or we recommend we go with this planning the proper way, identifying the use cases, unique problem, building your system, choosing the right LLM model or right LLM algorithm, customize it for your business use case, set up the application architecture, and eventually once the application or LLM has been built, we have to put it in the feedback loop where it will continuously train based on the upcoming information. And how we really do it, pre-processing and all these things I mentioned in the diagram. If anybody wants to know the real, more technical implementation detail, feel free to contact us and we will understand their use cases and explain the step by step. Here are some of the capabilities, AI capabilities, data practices, and analytical capabilities we can achieve using the LLM vector database, ethical AI practices, all that. This is a diagram copied from one of the LinkedIn article where they explained how the LLM getting consumed with unstructured data as well. So a lot of these data coming from these monitoring devices, I explained earlier, that those are unstructured data. We have to put it in the right format before we feed the data into the LLM. So we have to use the embedding model in between, or any kind of open source embedding model we can use. Vector database is one of the popular database has been used for the LLM, creating the LLM model, where we can use the Pinecone, Redis, and other embedding models. And obviously the open source LLM, which I gave you the list earlier, we can pick one of the best one and start working for our beginner use cases. This is the prompt engineering currently happens if you want to train your model based on your data, organization data, where you have a specific organization data and you want to train your model based on your organization data. So this is the high level model where you send user enters the query from the UI. The query has been sent to the embedding model and the initial prompt, and then embedding model queries then gets to map to the vector database. And from the mapped result of the vector database, basically data filters and make sure the LLM should not be processed unauthorized data. Then after the filter, it goes to the initial prompt. And from initial prompt, it goes to the actual LLM server, LLM algorithm, where it optimizes it, finds the right answer. In between, the LLM algorithm or LLM APIs communicate between the LLM cache on the server itself. Then it sends to the content classifier or filter, where it filters out the harmful and offensive content before it replies back to the UI. Final thoughts. Obviously, I mentioned this multiple times during my presentation. Define your business intent use case, identify the right LLM data source, ethical consideration, approach to your training model in the right way, and obviously compliance, security, getting the right speed or right infrastructure for the LLM is also important. Recently, we found an issue where we don't know are the current microprocessors technology or current processors are really supporting the speed of the LLM. So if we use the normal GPUs, it can run your query in 2 hours, 1 day. It can take more time, but the LLM optimized GPUs will really help you to optimize your speed and overall effort for the LLM development. And obviously, if you have any questions, we are open here. I don't know. Let me see the time. What's time it happens? Do we have enough time for the question answers? Well, we are already over time, but if you guys have questions, feel free to contact us on our website, or we have an email address. Contact us at arianthealthtech.com. And Alex and I, we are happy to answer the questions. We can happy to get onboarded on the call, answer your queries. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, so I will level because we don't have time to have any Q&A session, but we already have several questions in chat. So because the chat also can be recorded, so we'll look at each one, and then we will provide you. The best way to contact for this is that looking at the event side in LinkedIn, and then we will post the link when the record is ready. Then we are going to share it, so you will find out either in the event side or the either developed or the my LinkedIn site. You will have a post and also presentation of the same thing. And also we are thinking about providing the question answer for your question. And then, and additionally, the final thing is because you see that I'm mostly I have a lot of industry experience looking at the new problem, challenging task, and then provide a solution. And then Barry is a very expertise in practical implementation, practical apply of the new technology. So we get it together, and then we can do something, right? It's a fantastic thing. So whatever you are in, like think about to either in your organization or your project or whatever that you need some expertise, especially for the like a challenging problem, and we are ready. So just context, and then we'll willing to collaborate with you for your successful the end up being of the challenges or the project, whatever. Okay? Thank you for attending to today's webinar. So hopefully see you in future. So thank you for everyone. So good afternoon or good evening, whatever you depending on the user. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.